Hey guys, yeah, so American Horror Story Roanoke, definitely I'm loving the direction that it's going in now, because before it kind of felt like it didn't feel like it had longevity to be a full season, and now I know why, because that storyline was only part one. We're officially in part two now, and part two, in my opinion, flows a lot better than part one. So let's jump right into this. This is episode 6, so technically they're calling it by chapters, chapter 6. And now we find out that the show was a success. Yes, because you almost forgot that you were actually watching a show of, technically a show of a reenactment of what actually, or allegedly, what really happened. So with all that being said, now we have this guy, Sydney. Sydney is the person who actually was the producer of the show, the director, everything. And the show was a smash hit. The general public loved it, and they wanted more. It had 23 million people watching the finale. It beat Empire, it beat Sunday Night Football, it beat everything. So the executive producers were like, okay, we want more, we want more, we want more. Sydney comes into their office saying, you want more? Okay, we'll give you more. And they're like, okay, this is cute, but turn off the cameras. He said, no, this is how this is going to work from now on. This is the non-disclosure agreements that everyone signs that's going to be on the show, including you guys. Complete transparency. That's what people want nowadays. And I thought about it, and I was thinking, that's so true. That is what people want nowadays, or at least they want to feel like there's complete transparency. And he's telling them, this is the new concept. We'll take the people who actually went through the experience, the cast who did the reenactment, put them all together in one show and tape it. Like Big Brother? Yes, like Big Brother. So now his task is to go and create a reality show based off of everyone who was a part of it. So first we have to talk to Sydney. Oh, not Sydney. Sydney's going to be talking to Shelby. Shelby broke up with Matt, and it was actually more so Matt who broke up with Shelby because of the fact that Shelby had a little fling with Cuba Gooding Jr., aka, please like, comment, subscribe, by the way, Dominic Banks. So Dominic and Shelby had a little weekend tryst, and now Matt wants nothing to do with Shelby. So Shelby's agreeing to do the reality show-esque thing because Matt's supposed to be there. Matt has signed up. That's the only reason why she's there. Sydney goes to the house with his assistant, Dee, and, you know, they're rigging the house because they want people, they want the, cast to react. They want the cast to feel like, okay, stuff's really happening. The actors more so wouldn't, but the people who were dealing with the experience feel that way. I'm thinking, if you time this right, you don't have to worry about faking all this stuff. Real things will happen. So they'll have the sink exploding and all of these things. And Sydney's just loving it. And the thing is, he wants it to feel like it's real. So they've had the production crews, trailers came in, and it was like, no, we need to hide those. We need to hide those because they're going to feel like this is fake if we keep all of that in the public, if they can see that. It's like, what are you guys thinking? Who is doing the thinking? He goes outside, and because someone gets alerted to, oh my gosh, disgusting, and there were pig, what do you call it? There were dead pig fetuses of sorts all laid around the circle, and they were thinking, okay, we know who did this, the butcher. The butcher. And I'm thinking, the butcher? Yeah, apparently Kathy Bates' character, you know, the actor who played Kathy Bates, went a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Agnes went a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Originally, he was trying to talk to Agnes and say how the role of the butcher, it was the role of the lifetime, wasn't it? Oh yes, and I had to dig really deep. There are only 2 major roles, in my opinion, that were just so legendary and epic, and one being the butcher. And he said, let's discuss the elephant in the room. What's the elephant in the room? Well, that has to do with you and your psychotic breakdowns. Well, apparently, Agnes thought she really was the butcher, so she went around in Hollywood and was swinging that cleaver, swinging that butcher knife. And, you know, I for a score and blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting because they even show the casting tape for the butcher But poor Agnes. Agnes really felt that she became the butcher, and she developed a tick. And Sydney thought that it was Agnes who was doing the shenanigans on the set already, even though she wasn't even invited. So he said, here's your contract. Yes, that's your restraining order. You are not allowed to come in, what is it, like 100 feet of us, period. You hear me? If you do, we'll have you arrested. And they were just like, oh, wow. His assistant was saying, should we really be doing this? That seems pretty messed up. By the way, FX looks like it's going to have some really cool shows early next year, so I'll have to take a look as well. And I may review them, you know, depending on how good they are. But it's crazy because Agnes, you know, once she learns that she's not going to be on the show, she's pissed. That's the only reason why she was pretending to be so normal. She was like, I'll fall scarred, I'll kill you. And I'll be like, and Sydney was like, oh, this is perfect. This is amazing. We know she's not going to be able to stay away. It's just, I just love when we get to see the production and all the little tricks that production does, because it's like, it's supposed to be reality, but we know it's really not reality. It's the reality that they want to showcase. Next we see Lee, not the actor who plays Lee, but actually Lee herself. And Lee is being interviewed by E! News. Why? Because she's made over $1 million with the success of the show, and she's like, I'm just here to support my daughter. The fact that people on Reddit, on Twitter, Instagram are trying to insinuate that I actually killed my ex-husband and all of that is crazy. It's like half of them don't believe it, and then the other half is trying to condemn me for something I didn't do. And Sydney's like, we need someone like her. The issue is, she's a murderer. They're all convinced that she actually killed him. We don't think so too, but whatever. She's convinced that, well, Sydney's convinced that, okay, if we go and sign her on, are we held liable? Because if she goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, will we have to deal with the financial fallout of that? And they said, nope, that won't be an issue. We're good. And they're like, oh, okay. So she has an ironclad contract. Really? Really? This is interesting because Monet, that's what we're calling Angela Bassett's character. Monet, or is it Tootsie? Anyway, Angela Bassett's character, you know, who played Lee, she has an actual drug problem. And when I say drug, her drug of choice is alcohol. She loves her some alcohol. She actually became an alcoholic because of the role, just like how with Agnes becoming cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because of her role. And by doing so, now she runs the issue of, they run the issue of if she's given alcohol, they could go to jail, they could be held liable, they can be sued. But if she happens to find alcohol around the set, that's her problem. And I find it interesting how they made a good point. If Lee goes and kills someone or is condemned as a killer, they're okay. They're legally okay. But if Lee's actress character goes and gets given alcohol, which, as they know, is the blood and livelihood of reality TV, they could go to jail. What? So there's trouble on the set. There's trouble on the set, and just like how it was when the house was originally being built, and every time there was construction on the house again, something went wrong. And this time, one of the construction workers who had a chainsaw, somehow the chainsaw got stuck in his neck and ripped it right off. Now they're like, okay, are we going to shut down production? You know, production usually takes a day off when things like this happen. Sydney is saying, I don't care what happened. We're not stopping filming. That's a part of the deal. Sydney's right hand, Dee, was like, no, I'm going. So she gets in her car and she speeds off in that BMW. And Sydney was like, oh, did you get that? Did you get that? Okay, good. Perfect, perfect. With all of that going on, she has the camera going in her car saying, this is basically my last will and testament, all the foolishness that's going on. This is to let you know what really happened that day. She sees someone on the side of the road, someone in a really tattered dress, and you can't even really see the face. But the next thing we know, she stops. She's like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not even going to go and investigate that. I'm thinking, thank you, someone with some common sense. Unfortunately, you know, I feel like that was a woman. That woman ghost creature thing, because the blood moon is almost upon them, gets into her car and just starts killing her, yoking her up, shredding her body. You see the camera going everywhere, and they find the car, they find her camera. D was for Diana, and they never find her body. Her body was never, ever found. So it's like, oh, while I'm watching this show, that was the one thing that made me jump. I was like, oh! That was good, because the way how they did it, even though I knew something was going to happen, they did a good job with that. But now we see Miss English herself. Miss English herself. Yes, I'm Miss Tootsie Too Sweet. A.K.A. Sarah Paulson's character. You know, the one who played Shelby. And guess who she's married to? The one, the only, Rory. Rory, who played Edward. You know, the rich gay guy who built the house in the first place. Yeah! So Audrey and Rory got married, and I'm like, oh, how cute. There's definitely an age difference. They met on the set. She fell when they were in the underground, trying to escape out of the house, filming that part, and he just, you know, asked her out. They wanted to date. Next thing you know, they got married, and, you know, we already know this isn't going to work out for multiple reasons. One, if they even survive being back in the house. Two, the fact that it's not that he's much younger than her. That's not the main issue. The issue is you can tell that he has a young, immature mentality, and he just loves the fact that she's, even though she's older, she's hot. So that's what he's infatuated with. I'm thinking, Lord, and her accent. Yeah, we'll see how cute that is once the honeymoon stage is over. We'll see how cute that is once the honeymoon stage is over. And it looks like their wedding was actually filmed for the show as well. I mean, you had people from production that we realized was from production. And probably everyone who was sitting there, aside from his mom, was a part of the production crew. So they get into their bedroom and they're making out. And Rory, he has the opportunity to work on a Brad Pitt film. And she's saying she's not concerned about the fact that he could be away for 6 months. She's concerned that he'll break his contract. I'm thinking, Audrey, we know. Stop trying to fool us. Stop trying to fool us. Poor thing. Already, I will say immature. Already, insecure. Now, Rory sees, you know, he sees a figure outside, and everyone's giving cameras. Their actual phones are taken away, but everyone's giving cell phones that only the camera works. And it's just like, okay, who is that? Who is that? No, really, who is that? Boom! It's the butcher, a.k.a. Agnes. Agnes dressed up as a butcher, and she busts the window. They go running out the front door, and that's when we see the rest of the cast and crew. And Sydney, they're like, dude, you have to get Agnes. She's crazy. She's coming back again. Now the thing is, we find out that Audrey had to deal with Agnes because Agnes was stalking her. Agnes was outside of her house, well, with a knife, and was threatening to kill her, acting like she was the butcher. She was like, yeah, it's Agnes so-and-so. It's like, what do you mean? She's trying to kill me, and she's trying to steal my vehicle, ma'am. No, she was like, no. She's trying to steal my Saturn. Your Saturn? Your vehicle? Girl, no, I have money. I have money. How dare you insult me like that? That's not what she said, but I felt like that's what she said. That's why I need to get the hand motion as well. No! My Saturn award! She's trying to take it from me. She's jealous because she didn't win one. Jesus. And this is where we see Shelby's back in the house. She's back in the house with her double. And Audrey does not like Shelby all that much. One, because the whole cheating factor. And two, because that's when Matt comes in. Matt with Lee. And everyone's giving the camera. The fact that, like I said, the phones are disabled. Only the cameras work. The issue is that Matt and Lee aren't really feeling Shelby because of what she did. Shelby basically wants Matt to forgive her. Lee's like, girl, you did what you wanted to do, and The fact of the matter is, you're trying to go and be like, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Lee's like, no, there is no sorry. Leave my brother alone. Audrey is saying how, oh, I nailed that whiny prissy chick mentality. Perfect. Because Audrey has an English accent, if I didn't say that already. And that's what Rory's really infatuated with, aside from her looks. And we see the actors, including Monet. She's with them. Angela Bassett. She's with them, and she's just like, oh, well, you know, Shelby's this, Shelby's that. Matt needs to be with her. But I don't believe any of this anyway. All of this is foolishness. All of this is fake and phony. And Matt was saying, look, it's almost full blood moon. That's when the action will really start. Then, once we see over the next 3 days, so I guess technically they're probably going to stretch, because this is episode 6. I don't know how many episodes they did for this season, maybe 10 or so. But over the next 3 days in their world, they're gonna all die, except for one person. Now the money's on who's it gonna be. Is it gonna be Matt? Is it gonna be Lee? I hope it's Lee, only because her daughter, even though Lee's kind of messed up, she doesn't seem like the world's worst parent, so I hope she's the one that survives. Oh, I hope it's not Shelby. Anyone but Shelby, actually, now that I think about it. We know who doesn't survive, and the show got canned. The show got canned, and we're just seeing the footage that was never released. Because if everyone dies and there was already a potential issue in the first place, that's a legal nightmare. That's a legal firestorm that they want to avoid as much as possible. So they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that that happens. Matt takes the room downstairs. He just wants to be away from it all because they said, oh yeah, Shelby and Matt would be sharing the same room. Monet is already drinking like a fish. She's drinking that stuff like it's water, even though we know it is water. And while Lee is walking in the house, she feels a presence. And we see a burnt up body. We see a burnt up body at the camera. I'm wondering, Lord, is this a live feed or not? Because no one really saw that burnt up body in the camera. Are these spirits not corporeal yet? Anyway, Audrey and Rory were in the jacuzzi. I'm thinking, they're in that nasty ass jacuzzi. They're really in that nasty jacuzzi. Shelby's trying to avoid Lee. She sneaks into Matt's room and she's trying to apologize to Matt and say, come upstairs. I'm like, Shelby, you're trying to downplay the fact that you cheated on your husband. I'm really tired of you. I was tired of you before. I'm really tired of you now. Lee's trying to talk to Monet to say, oh, I know you're an alcoholic. She said, it's your fault. I was in your mind. I was in the mind of a killer. He's like, I wasn't no killer. That's what the media wanted you to believe. That's what production wanted you to believe. They need you to believe it so that it came off as believable. Next thing we know, Dominic Banks comes back in the house. And we see Matt with a bust up lip. And he was like, oh, it felt good. I'm thinking, oh, fight time, fight time. Next thing we know, Matt is fighting Dominic. And of course, Dominic is bigger, so it's not like Matt was actually winning. But it was a nice little tussle. It was a nice little tussle. I'm like, oh, Black Lives Matter. Stop it, guys. This is not a good example. Stop it. But this is real, so go for it. Lee is trying to bandage up Matt. And, you know, Lee felt bad. But I'm sure she was like, yeah, you had to do what you had to do. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you either, Matt. At the end of the day, Dominic knew what it was, and he still decided to be with a married woman after all. Audrey, she's in the shower, and she thought that it was Rory that came in. No! The pig dude! The skinny, tall guy with the pig head was there. And it was the real deal. She thought it was production. She was like, oh, it was Sydney! So she ran down the stairs. Rory went upstairs to see what was going on. And she was like, oh, hey, Dominic, what are you doing here? Sydney's an idiot. Oh, it's nice to see you again. I'm like, these damn actors. While Rory's upstairs, he's checking through everything. He's in the closet. Next thing we know, we see like a really grungy, killed, demented version of the nurses who own the murder house and were killing all the old people. They go, they slash, and they cut up and they stab up Rory. So Matt's walking. He sees the wall that had murder minus the R, and it finally has the R in it. Shelby feels bad, but that doesn't matter because this isn't about Shelby. Matt comes in and says like, R is for Rory, Audrey. They got him. So I'm wondering, are we actually going to see the body, or is he just going to end up going missing? Like, how's this going to work? Anyway, that was it. Oh, this is so much better. Like, it was good. It was getting really good. But now it's there. It's there. It's finally where I'm like, all right, American Horror Story is really back. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.